With Truist TV, and I'm back with another video. And I had to do this video because it's something that needed to be done. And I don't mean to come on here, and I'm not trying to bash or send hate, no way. I'm just trying to tell the truth. Because a lot of time in history, nothing but lies have been perpetuated. And I oftentimes ask myself, what fuels white supremacy? Because black people have never, ever been an imminent threat to white people. Ever. There has never been militias of black people killing white folk. Not in the history of ever. And before anybody start talking about the Black Panthers have never committed any terrorist group against anybody. The Black Panthers were a group that was trying to put a stop to police brutality, which were white vigilantes who would get together with guns and lynch, shoot, kill, and beat up on brown-skinned folk out of jealousy and insecurity. Masked white supremacy. And so they created Wick and Fan to feed the fatherless, the motherless, the widows. That's all Black Panthers did, and they killed them. Black people as a whole have never been an imminent threat to white people. That's why I never understand white hate toward black folk. I never understand white murders, because black people have never been an imminent threat. There's never been a group of black people terrorizing white communities, ever. The most you ever hear black people do to white people is complain about injustice. And though it may be annoying to hear somebody complain, nevertheless, a complaint is not an imminent threat. We have never massacred, bonfired, murdered, lynched, or shot a whole group of white people in any community. We have never bombed it and tore the town down. White people have laid siege to black towns. I don't get your hate. You have no documented history of black people ever being an imminent threat to you. How does killing black lives make white people feel safe when it is white people who kill each other more than anybody? You poison your own vaccines. You shoot and kill your own men, women, and children, whether they're in school or at work. You do it. Black people don't do it. When have we ever been an imminent threat to white people? When? When? I will understand white hate if you can prove it. You have never, ever in history have black people ever came together as a militia to murder groups of white people. Ever. We have never changed the identity of white folk as a result to be able to massacre them. We have never changed historical laws to be able to continue to massacre people who've done. And what am I getting to? That your hate is spewing from something that has absolutely nothing to do with black people being a threat to your safety or your humanity. The only threat that black people could ever be to white people is a threat to white people's self-esteem. You're the one who celebrate mediocrity. You're the one who can't take talent. You're the one who feels like you come up short in things. That has nothing to do with us. You're the one who created history in your image because you could not take the fact that you are a wild man who was enslaved for so long. Ottoman slave trade, you refused to even tell your history. If you didn't want people to think you were evil, shouldn't you have told the correct history that you yourself were victims in the Ottoman slave trade, of being slaves, Slavic slaves that were taken as orphan babies and placed on these ships and into these trains and shipped all over the U.S.? Shouldn't you have told people that? Incubation babies placed in orphanages to grow up to be servants in black homes. Shouldn't you have told the truth? But instead, you wanted to be superior, right? This illusion. And so you painted yourself as somebody evil, and then after you did it, you began to do evil acts to enforce that you're evil. And now when people see you as evil, you're now upset. But it was you who created the narrative of being evil and then began to do it. You made yourself the slave owner. You knew you were not the slave owner. Did you tell that those black Europeans were the actual slave owners and the Portuguese and Spanish? No, you didn't. That reparations would be in fact our ancestors. Some of our ancestors owned slaves, a lot of them, not most of them. But you didn't tell that. You said you were the slave owner. You said you beat and whipped our ancestors and branded them. That was a lie. It was your ancestors by the Iberians, who were brown-skinned folk, the Arabics, and the Africans who beat and branded and whipped your people in the Ottoman slave trade. But you weren't going to tell that. You were also going to make it seem like the Ottoman slave trade was only 700 BC, when the Ottoman slave trade lasted up until slavery was abolished in America in 1865. While before, in 1835, it was being implemented and enacted, but not fully done. Okay? It was finalized in 1865, the Ottoman slave trade. It was your slave trade. No transatlantic. But you wanted to be the hero, the victim, and the villain all at once. And it backfired. You didn't want to tell the truth about history. You wanted to show out and create a false sense of superiority, while simultaneously decimating your people emotionally, mentally, and physically. And now you're trying to blame black people for that? You're the reason for aging fast. Why lie to your people about who you are? And then get mad that people held you to it. Tell the truth and shame the devil. We have never been an imminent threat to white, Asian, or Hispanic groups. Ever. There has never been a group of brown-skinned Americans going through your societies, changing history, and murdering a whole bunch of white, Asian, Hispanic, or Latino folk. It's never happened in the history of ever. At least not here in the Americas. So, with that being said, I do not understand your disdain for black folk. Could it be the wild man in the Moor tapestry that lets you know that there's an underlying understanding of who we are, and the hate is so that we do not discover who we are? Right? Because that also goes with the changing of the names. We will no longer cast these people as Indian, but Negro, color, and black. Walter Pleckler, 1924. They won't be American Indian. We will call them free people, all else freed. Freedmen. Is it jealousy that rules white supremacy? Could it be jealousy that fuels white supremacy? Has it ever occurred to white people that they're just jealous of black people's historical and technological innovative contribution to society? Because if you go to every historical archive and you look up every invention that you put behind a white man, there was a black man that he blueprinted. He copied. He didn't originate any of his thoughts. He studied and found out how to implement it. The wheel was invented by the black man and then redone by the white man. That's the only thing that happened in history. Do you understand me? So when you are looking and all these other races feeling some type of way about black folk, we have never been an imminent threat to you as a whole. It is insecurity that fuels you. That's all that is. See, when a person is jealous, they will use anything to justify their jealousy. Oh, I don't like you because your personality. I don't like you because your look. I don't like you because it's different. No, they don't like you because they're jealous of you. See, you learn those things growing up because it's elementary school textbook. There are the many excuses, but the one excuse that stands and reigns supreme is that when you are jealous of someone, you will hate them for anything. You have to always search, look, and find reason. That's how jealousy works. Doesn't have to be substantiated by any evidence. It doesn't have to be corroborated by historical events. You're just jealous and you need anything. I hope this is a little... I hope this helps white folk understand what is really going on in them. So that, you know how in AA, when you confess that you have a problem, you can then from there get the help you need. Well, that's what I like to do. I like to be a little bit of AA for white folk. If you confessed with your whole heart that what fuels black hate is just jealousy, you can then overcome it. Because again, we have never been an imminent threat, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to white folk. Ever. To substantiating mass murders to black folk. The only imminent threat that black people could ever be to white people is the imminent threat to their low self-esteem about historical contribution and talent. That's it. Because us as a whole have never done anything in this country to you. We have never changed history in our image. We have never reclassified a group of white folk and then lynched them and killed them and stole their lands. We've never done it. We've never got together doing experiments on white people. Actually, white people got together experimenting on their own people, right? We have never poisoned your water and food supplies, poisoned the mind of your children. We've never done that, not as a whole, not as a group, not even really individually. You'll have anecdotal experience with black folk doing things to white folk. Yeah, not as a whole though. We've never ever been imminent threats at all as a whole to white folk. So this is me just being a little AA for you to figure out that your biggest problem isn't black people but yourself. Your biggest imminent threat to white society is other white folk. Your mind frame, the way you think, is your biggest threat. That is your imminent danger, yourself. When you train your mind in things of hate to justify insecurity, you are your imminent threat. You're the one with the inferiority complex. Nobody else is. You're the one who can't see past historical, technological advances that had nothing to do with you. You can't get over history. You tell black people, stop thinking about history. When will you stop thinking about history, sweetie? It is you living in the woodwoo times of when you were wild men, worrying about what you did not contribute to history. It is you, sir. It is you, ma'am. It is your reason for killing. Your anger is based on history that yet you fabricated against us and tell us to get over. That happened a long time ago, black people. White people, that happened a long time ago where you didn't invent anything. White people, that happened a long time ago when the Iberians and the Europeans and the Africans and Arabics enslaved you. That happened a long time ago. That happened a long time ago when black people were the only inventors of civilizations and technological advances. That happened a long time ago, white people. When are you going to get over it? That is the real question. When are you going to get over it? Need I say more, or must I keep going? Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Okay? Put God first, above all else. Just a little bit of food for thought. This is Kendra with True Us TV. Peace out. Bye for now.